Loki, Season 2, Episode 5. This thing just keeps getting better, better, and better. This episode is mostly about Loki and his time slipping. Why is he time slipping? They don't know yet. But is it a thing that can be controlled? Is it a thing that can be used like a tool? Maybe. Because he seems to be time slipping and running into the people who died at the end of the last episode. He's running into them, and he runs into Mobius. Mobius, of course, doesn't remember him. Nobody remembers him. But after Mobius, he meets OB. And he time slips, and he goes into a room where OB is at. And OB is a struggling writer. He's a struggling writer because he used to be a scientist, a big name scientist, and he doesn't want to be a scientist. He wants to be a writer, which, he wrote the scientific book for the TVA, so he's kind of both. But he meets Loki, and Loki, time slips in front of him, and he's not really freaked out because he's a science fiction writer, and he's used to this kind of stuff. And he initially thinks that Loki is a character from one of his books come to life. So he's kind of cool with it. I mean, you've met OB. He's kind of got the chill button pushed all the way down. So he's completely chill with everything. We're all going to die. That's his attitude. So he meets him and he's like, oh, you're a character from one of my books. And they talk. And it turns out that OB gives him the idea that he could control the time slip. And to be completely honest, I hadn't thought about that. I didn't think about that. I never thought, what if he can control that power? I was like, wow, somebody's controlling him, man. But it looks like he can also control it. Or at least they theorize that. So he's going around trying to get everybody. And some of the people are not, well, all of them are not what you would have expected, given their personalities at the TVA. So I'm wondering, why did Victor Timely pick these particular people? There must be a reason for it. But Loki gathers them all together. OB comes up with the idea that if we can get all of that energy, that chronological energy together, it's like the locks to a key. If you get, these certain people together, you can read the last time that they've all been together, and it would be at the moment right before the TVA blew up. You could go back and reset and, try again. So they did that. But they didn't have Victor Timely, so to me, they didn't have everybody. They had everybody that was in the room except for Vic. He atomized, and I guess they would come right after that. But he was in that room too, and they don't even attempt to get him. They just kind of gloss over that. So OB comes up with the idea that if we can get everybody together that was at that instant, we can use their chronological energy and we can follow it, we can track it, and go to that exact moment. So Loki starts gathering folks up, and Sylvie remembers him for whatever reason. She, probably because she's a Loki, probably because she's a variant, probably because she's a god, but she remembers everything that happens. Everybody else is completely mind wiped. So this episode was good because it gives you a little peek at the origin of separate people. It gives you a look at Hunter, B-15. It gives you a look at Mobius. It gives you a look at OB. It gives you a look at Casey and what they were all doing. Casey was interesting because Casey is completely not. I think he's the furthest removed from what he is there. So they must have done something to his brain because he's not the same. But it's interesting. The way they wrote this story, it's interesting. It's a really good story, and it's leading to the Kang War. which is going to be the big Avengers movie. With the stuff that's going on with one of the particular actors, it seems like they may remove one of the main characters, but I am hoping that they do not. This story is good. I've heard rumor, through the internet, they may be replacing Kang with Doom. I wouldn't do that. Doom's a guy for another time. And Doom's not a substitute. You don't stick him in there as a substitute villain. He's too big. With Kang's storyline, they can introduce a bunch of people. They can introduce the Fantastic Four. They can introduce the X-Men. They can introduce other heroes and villains along timelines. With Kang, it opens the doorway for more Marvel mayhem, and I'm hoping that's what they do. But we'll see. We'll see. This episode of Loki, without going in too deep, without getting all of the spoilers away, seems like I've given a lot away, but if you've seen it, you'll know that I'm just barely scraping the surface. For this episode of Loki and the series so far, I would give it 8 bags of popcorn. 8 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that you had a chance to see the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.